When Melania Trump walked into the garden that evening, she expected to find peace, not scandal. The golden Florida sunset filtered through the palm trees surrounding Mar-a-Lago, casting long, dramatic shadows across the estate. The air was humid but calm, and she hoped to enjoy just a few moments of solitude. As someone who had long grown accustomed to life under the microscope, Melania found serenity in nature, far from reporters, flashing cameras, and the suffocating expectations of political life. But what she saw that evening would shake the calm to its core. Under the branches of a carefully trimmed cypress tree near the rear marble fountain, Melania noticed her son, Barron Trump, sitting close afar to closeto a young girl. At first, it looked innocent, maybe a conversation with a schoolmate, maybe a neighbor's daughter. But as she moved closer, the picture became unmistakably clear. Barron was holding her hand, gently brushing her fingers with his thumb, completely absorbed in whatever soft conversation they were sharing. Melania's heart stopped, not because she was angry but because she was blindsided. The girl had long auburn hair, a delicate but striking face, and an unmistakable aura of confidence. Even in youth, it didn't take Melania more than a second to recognize her. Nova Musk, Elon Musk's only daughter from a private relationship, not often in the public eye. Elon had made every effort to keep Nova away from the chaos of media attention. Yet here she was, on Trump property, seated with Barron in a scene that looked like something out of a teenage romance film. The way they looked at each other made it clear this wasn't a casual encounter. They were emotionally involved, connected, and judging by the way Barron held her hand, quite possibly more serious than anyone in the Trump family would have ever anticipated. Melania didn't cause a scene. She didn't call out or demand an explanation. Instead, her eyes locked with Nova's, who quickly noticed her presence. The sudden panic in the girl's expression gave everything away. Barron, confused by her reaction, turned his head and frowned when he saw his mother standing silently just 10 feet away. "Mom," he stammered, rising to his feet, his face turning a shade of red Melania hadn't seen on him since he was a child. "It's not what it looks like," he added quickly, even though it clearly was exactly what it looked like. Melania raised her eyebrows and folded her arms. "You are together?" she asked, her voice calm but unmistakably laced with tension. Barron looked down for a moment, then nodded slowly. "We've been talking for a few weeks," he confessed. "I didn't know how to bring it up." Melania took a slow breath, turned away, and walked back toward the house without saying another word. The silence in that moment was heavier than any scolding. It was the kind of silence that follows revelation, the kind that makes your chest tighten. When she reached her private quarters, Melania sat her down and stared out the window, the palms swaying gently against the backdrop of a fading orange sky. She knew this wasn't just about teenage emotions, it was about politics, reputations, and two of the most high-profile families on the planet, suddenly entwined in a way no one had expected. She reached for her phone and dialed a number she hadn't called since last week. "Donald," she said when he picked up, "we have a situation." Donald Trump was wrapping up a Republican fundraiser in Manhattan when he received the call. His voice was still in performance, modeled, assertive, teamed with charisma. "Mel, everything good?" he asked, assuming this would be a routine check-in. "No," she answered flatly. "Your son is seeing Musk's daughter." For a few seconds, there was complete silence on the other end. Then, Trump chuckled. "You're joking?" he said. "Please tell me you're joking." But Melania didn't laugh. "They were in the garden," she said, holding hands, like boyfriend and girlfriend. Trump's laugh died in his throat. "Unbelievable," he snapped. "This is exactly what I warned him about. Musk's kid. Really, after all the chaos that guy stirred up about me over the years, now his daughter is romancing my son like this. Is some kind of Shakespearean drama." By the time Donald Trump landed back in Florida that evening, the storm inside him had grown to a Category 5. He marched into Mar-a-Lago with a kind of rage that the staff hadn't seen in months. The air was thick with anticipation. Barron, already informed that his father had returned, was sitting in the family library, his headphones around his neck, pretending to read, but nothing could prepare him for the fury that entered the room the moment Trump walked in. "Sit," Donald barked. Aaron obeyed. Trump paced the floor, back and forth like a general preparing for battle, before stopping abruptly in front of his son. "You want to explain to me why the hell you're dating the daughter of a man who's practically declared war on me on X and in every interview for the past 3 years?" he asked. Barron didn't flinch. "Because she's not her father," he said softly. "She's her own person. She gets me, And I get her. That response only fueled Trump's fire. You're 17, he shouted. You're not supposed to get anyone yet. You're supposed to be staying, preparing for your future, not sneaking around with the daughter of a tech lunatic who wants to upload human consciousness into space. Dead, Barron said calmly. Maybe that's your feud, not mine. Trump's jaw tightened. He had her disrespect before, but this wasn't rebellion. It was independence. It was maturity. And that, more than anything, threw him off balance. Meanwhile, across the country in California, Nova had already texted her father. Dead. Mrs. Trump saw us. She looked disappointed. Elon Musk, ever the iconoclast, chuckled when he read it. He turned to Grimes, who was lounging nearby. Trump's going to pop a vein, he muttered. Should we send them a Tesla as an apology? But Elon was already thinking bigger. He wasn't one to avoid drama, often leaned into it. This could be interesting. He said aloud, Barron and Nova, Romeo and Juliet, billionaire edition. Grimes laughed, but the seed had already been planted in Elon's mind. Within 48 hours, tabloids caught wind of the encounter. Social media platforms exploded with speculation. Barron Trump and Elon Musk's daughter, America's new power couple. Read one headline, others weren't so gentle. Trump-Musk family, drama brewing behind the scenes. Rumors swirled that Donald Trump was furious. Melania was heartbroken, and Elon Musk was secretly proud. But no one really knew the truth except those inside the estate. Melania tried to maintain calm. She pulled Barron aside the following morning. Do you love her? She asked. Simply. Barron blinked, surprised by the question. I don't know, he admitted, but I like her, more than I've liked anyone. Melania sighed and kissed his forehead. Then be careful, she said, because when love involves families like ours, it never stays simple. Behind closed doors, Donald was hatching a plan, not to end the relationship but to control it. I'm not letting Musk spin this, he declared during a family strategy meeting. If anyone's going to frame this narrative, it's me. His advisors debated whether to condemn the relationship publicly or use it to soften Trump's image. In a move that no one saw coming, Trump posted to Truth Social, sometimes the next generation writes a new chapter. I may not agree with Mr. Musk on anything, but I trust my son. If she makes him happy, we'll see where it goes. No fake news, truce for no. The post went viral instantly. Twitter X now lit up. Elon Musk responded with a simple emoji. The digital handshake was all the world needed to explode with speculation. Was this the beginning of a Trump-Musk alliance? A PR stunt? Or just a dads trying not to lose their kids? Then came the charity gala in Miami. Cameras caught Trump and Musk in the same room. They didn't hug. They didn't pose for selfies. But they shook hands. And behind them, just out of focus but unmistakably there, stood Barron and Nova, holding hands, smiling shyly. It was a moment that melted even the coldest of political hearts. By the end of the week, the entire internet was talking. Some saw it as a publicity stunt. Others were inspired by the idea that love could bridge even the most extreme ideological divides. TikToks, memes, and fan edits flooded timelines. Nova Barron trended globally. The story had taken on a life of its own. Behind the scenes, however, the families were still adjusting. Trump had called Barron into his study one night and asked him one simple question. Do you think this girl is worth all of this? Barron looked his father in the eyes and replied, yes, and if she wasn't Musk's daughter, you wouldn't be asking that. Trump nodded slowly, his expression unreadable. And, for the first time in weeks, he smiled. Just don't get her pregnant before the election. Elon, on his part, pulled Nova aside one morning and said, dating a Trump is like orbiting a black hole. Exciting, but dangerous. Be smart. She smirked. I'm your daughter. I was born for chaos. He laughed. That's what worries me. In the end, no one knew how long it would last. Teenage love rarely survives the weight of the world. But for one fleeting moment, it wasn't about money, power, or legacy. It was just two young people trying to figure it all out. And in a world consumed by division, that alone was revolutionary. What Trump did next wasn't war. It wasn't rage. It was rare, shocking even for once. He stepped back. He let it unfold. And that silence, that trust, was what truly left everyone speechless.